Mrs. Bartlett's Minibeast hunt. This weekend I decided to go on a Minibeast hunt. I was sure that I would see lots of Minibeasts, so I decided to write them all down so that I wouldn't forget any of them. I wrote down a title for my list, Minibeasts I Saw. I started off my Minibeast hunt in my garden. The first Minibeast I saw was a tiny ant scuttling about on the concrete. I'm not sure where it was going. It looked like it was searching for something, but it couldn't find what it was looking for. Next, I saw a beautiful bumblebee flying from flower to flower. It looked soft and furry, but don't ever be tempted to touch a bee because they can sting. They're very interesting to watch if you are careful. They only sting you if they get very scared. The bee was flying from flower to flower, gathering nectar, which is sweet and sticky. They use the nectar to make honey. Bees are great mini-bees because they help plants to grow. I wrote those mini-bees down on my list so that I wouldn't forget them. Ant. Bee. B-E, digraph E. So that was 2 mini-beasts I had spotted. I tried to find some more mini-beasts in my garden. Some mini-beasts like living underneath things in dark places. I tried looking under a flower pot. Nothing there. I moved an old sack of soil. Nothing there. I moved an old dustbin. Nothing there either. I decided I needed to go somewhere else to look for mini-beasts. I went off to Trent Park for a walk with Mr. Bartlett. It was a beautiful sunny afternoon. I was sure I would find more mini-beasts here because there are lots of different types of habitat at Trent Park. A habitat is a place where a mini-beast likes to live. At Trent Park there are trees and bushes, areas of long grass, ponds, piles of logs and dead trees, sunny patches, shady patches, lots of different types of places for mini-beasts to live. I started off by looking in the long grass. I could hear a clicking noise. Listen. Do you know what that noise is? Yes, it's a grasshopper. There were lots of grasshoppers in the grass, but I couldn't get near one to take a photo or video because every time you get near to a grasshopper, they stop making a clicking noise, so you can't tell where they are. They're also very well camouflaged, so they are difficult to see. I did manage to spot one, but it jumped away before I could get my camera out. I spotted a bug on the end of a piece of grass. We popped the bug in a plastic cup and looked at it through a magnifying glass. It was interesting to watch it crawling around. When we'd finished, we let the bug crawl out of the cup back onto the grass. We were very careful to be gentle with it. I wrote those mini-beasts down on my list. Grasshopper, bug. I used a different colour because we found these mini-beasts in a different habitat. Next we searched in the bracken and the brambles. We spotted a dragonfly that had landed on the bracken. It had a beautiful shiny green body and brown wings. It fluttered up into the air and then it landed again. We spotted a ladybird sitting very still on a leaf. Then it started crawling away. I wrote those 2 mini-beasts on my list. Dragonfly, dragonfly, ladybird, We walked on until we came to the pond. We spotted some water snails under the water. They're like the snails we find around Kimberley Gardens, but they live under the water. I watched them for a while. They moved around very, very slowly. Did you spot that mini-beast moving over the surface of the water? It's called a pond skater because it skates over the surface without sinking into the water. Oh, there it goes again. Did you spot it? I wonder if you can see what I spotted under the water in the middle here. We found out about these creatures a couple of weeks ago when we had the story of the big bad fish. Yes, it's a tadpole. I added those to my list. Water snail, pond skater, tadpole. Next, I looked in dark, damp places. I lifted up a couple of pieces of wood to look underneath, but there didn't seem to be anything living there. Then I lifted up another log. At first, there didn't seem to be anything there. It was all a bit dark and covered with soil, but as I watched, different creatures started moving. There was a big black beetle. At first it didn't move and I wondered if it was alive, but then it started crawling, slowly at first, and then faster and faster, until it walked right off the edge of the log. Next, I noticed a fat grey slug. That wasn't moving at all, but then I saw some little creatures crawling around. Can you see them? They are wood lice. I looked down on the ground where the log had been sitting before I picked it up, and I saw a long, wriggly body with lots of legs. Can you see it? Actually, there are two of them if you look very carefully. They're called millipedes. I put the log back down very gently and carefully so that I didn't squash any of the creatures. When you're doing a mini-beast hunt, it's very important to put things back where you found them, because otherwise you will spoil the habitat that the mini-beasts like to live in. Now I need to add the mini-beasts that I saw under the log to my list. I think there were 4 different ones. Can you remember what they were? There was the beetle. There was a slug. There were the wood lice. And the millipede. Next, I decided to look at mini-beasts that like to live in rotting wood. I spotted a dead tree lying on the ground. There were lots of cracks and crevices where mini-beasts could be living. There was a particularly big crack that was filled with dry leaves and other bits and pieces. I moved some of the leaves so that I could get a better view, and I was amazed at what I saw. Let me show you. It's an ant's nest. Can you see the white things? They are ant eggs, and eggs that are growing into baby ants or ant larvae. The ants are tiny and I couldn't see them very clearly with my eyes, but my camera worked like a magnifying glass and made them look much bigger. Back in the sunshine, we spotted another mini-beast fluttering around. Watch the white spot in the middle of the picture. And then you'll see what it is. Yes, it's a butterfly. It was hard to film because it kept fluttering around and it didn't stay still for as long as 1 second. I added it to my list. Butterfly. Before we went home, I wanted to see a spider. I saw lots of spiders' webs in this wood pile and in this hollow tree, but I couldn't find a spider anywhere. It was time to go home, so I had to give up. But back home in my garden the next day, see what I spotted. Yes, a spider! It was busy building a web. If you look very carefully, you can see its web glinting in the sunlight. I added it to my list. Spider. So let's see how many mini beasts I've found altogether. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 different mini beasts. I really enjoyed hunting for mini beasts. Why don't you go on a mini beast hunt? You can look anywhere. In the park, in a flower bed, in your garden. Sometimes mini beasts even creep inside your house. Don't forget to make a list of what you see. If you can't do your own mini beast hunt, you can make a list of all the mini beasts you saw on this video. Have fun!